Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of the Storytime Society. I'm your host Jamie and I'm so happy you're here. I'm so glad you're alive. Thanks for tuning in to another episode. The theme of this episode is cheating stories with updates. So let's get into it. The title of the first story is I, 38 male, found out my wife, 36 female, cheated in the beginning of our relationship. My wife and I have been together since 2010, married in 2016. We both work full-time and don't have any kids. We've been trying for a while without success, though recent events left me wondering if I really want this with her. We met when we both got in the university, me in 2007 and she in 2008. We were friends before we got together. In the end of 2009/start of 2010, she was going through a bad time in her relationship at the time, and I ended up supporting her with a mutual friend of ours. She broke up with her ex, and a few months later, one thing led to another. We ended up kissing, which led to me inviting her on a date, and then the rest just happened. We were officially together in 2010, and I couldn't be happier. Our marriage and relationship in general were always pretty good. We've always communicated well, and I never had a reason to suspect my wife was cheating. Last Saturday, there was a barbecue in her brother's house. I got inside to get some stuff in the kitchen. While I was looking inside the fridge, I overheard my wife talking to her sister in the other room. I wasn't trying to snoop on them at first. I really don't do that kind of thing. But then I heard something like, "My name can never know about this." Well, of course, that was my cue to actually snoop. I hid and listened to their talking. Apparently, her sister almost cheated on her boyfriend and was feeling guilty. And my wife told her about the time she slept with a guy who was a lab assistant with her at the university after we started dating. We were exclusive in 2010. In her own words, she said, quote, "I wasn't sure things with my name would work out at the time, and I just allowed myself to do it. I felt guilty once I saw how much he loved me and treated me well, and I could see a future with him." Then her sister asked if something else happened later in the relationship, and my wife said, "No, it was just that one time, and I wish I could forget about it." I haven't talked to her about this yet. I'm not even sure how to approach her. I feel incredibly hurt, and I know confronting her right now may just worsen things. Again, I never had reason to suspect that she cheated, but she hid this from me all these years, and now that I just found out, it feels like she just cheated on me. I'm really broken. She noticed I'm not myself these past few days, and I dismissed it by saying it's just stress. But she knows me, and she will keep trying to get an answer. I don't know what to do. Should I just try and forget what I heard? I don't know if I should talk to her right now or process it in therapy first. Edit 1. I decided I will talk to her, but not right now. I'm still very upset, and I don't want this to turn into a shouting match. I want it to be a conversation, not a fight. I have a therapy session today, and I will speak to my therapist about it. Hopefully, it will help me start this conversation with my wife. Had I known she cheated at the time, I would have broken up with her. I understand everyone saying, just leave, but this is the person that I built my life with, the person who supported me in so many ways, and helped me grow as a person and as a professional. Before I make any harsh decisions, I want to hear what she has to say about this. Then I will decide for myself what will be the way forward. No, I don't believe she cheated on me other than this time. She never gave me any reasons to think that she did. I've always had access to her phone. She was never secretive of anything, and we spent most of our free time together. But how she will answer when I talk to her about it will surely confirm or change it completely. Edit 2. I talked to my therapist. It helped me a lot. My head is in a much better place now, and I will talk to my wife tonight. My decision on what will be my next steps will be based on the way that she reacts and responds to me. Also, people are assuming we weren't exclusive when the cheating happened. We were. Words were lost in translation as after we started dating. Literally means después que comenzamos a namorar, in my mother's tongue. And this is something we say in my country only when couples are exclusive, which was our case. We did have a phase of friends with benefits when we were both seeing other people, but we knew about it.
If you want extra content weekly, head over to patreon.com/storytimesociety and become a member on there for extra content. Love you.
Well, I think that if you're going through a situation like this and you ever overhear your partner talking about cheating on you, yeah, definitely have a conversation with them. I'm glad that he ended up figuring out that he should have had a conversation and that he should have a conversation with her, because him being like, should I just try to forget it? No, never, because you're never going to forget it. I mean, even she can't forget it, and she's the one who did it. So you're never going to be able to forget that. And that's actually terrible. I do think that it could be something that you could work through. I think the hard part is that she's not the one that came to you and told you about it. So you're going to have to confront her about it, which just makes it kind of annoying and terrible. But you guys have been together all this time. And I feel like there just has to be something that you can do. Like, I feel like therapy, couples therapy, and you guys really working through it. Not to say that it's not going to be hard, because it's definitely going to be hard. I can imagine this would take me years to forget. Like, it would be so hard. I would struggle so much. And if you're going to just struggle the rest of your life, at least try to work through it. And then if you find that you really can't get through it, you leave. Maybe other people will feel like differently about that and be like, no, he should just leave and not be with her because she cheated. But that's my thoughts. Someone said, also, one thought, until you get your head and your heart sorted on this, you may want to hold off on trying for a child. If this proves to ultimately be a deal breaker, this is only going to highly complicate everything. OOP said, no worries. No way I am even getting hard with all this going on. Tea, honestly. OOP responds to a longer comment on the relationship before OOP found out. Someone said, take inventory. How is your relationship before this bomb? How does she treat you? Do you feel loved, cared for, and respected? Do you feel the same about her? OOP said, before this, it was awesome. She treats me well. We respect each other, love each other. Really. We have our ups and downs, but I was genuinely happy sharing my life with her. And then they said, it appears you guys started fairly soon after this breakup. Perhaps too soon, maybe. Perhaps she didn't have time to heal, find herself again. We sometimes lose ourselves in relationships, and then it can take some time to redefine ourselves afterwards. And OP said, we did, but not in an official way. After she broke up with her ex, we had a friends with benefits phase when we would just hang out as friends, have fun when we felt like it. At this time, we were also seeing other people, and we both knew about it. So it wasn't cheating. Again, we weren't exclusive. Her cheating on me, however, happened after I asked her to be my girlfriend, officially. She said yes, we were a couple, changed Facebook status, etc. Apparently, this slip happened a few weeks later, in a party they threw to say goodbye to one of her friends who was leaving the country. She kissed the guy, the lab assistant, and ended up sleeping with him, and later regretted it. Rationally, I know the context and know what was going on in her mind at the time, but still, it happened, and if I knew it back then, we would have broken up for sure. I'll talk to her about it, and depending how this conversation will go, then I have some thinking to do. That's why I don't want to do it right now when my head is still hot. Valid, very valid. I would also probably suggest not talking to someone right away, because I can imagine how fucking upset I would be if I found that out. I would have a hard time holding back though, but that's a very mature thing to do. Okay, update is 2 days later. I received a lot of good feedback on my other post. As usual, there's the Divorce Now crew on Reddit, but among those, I was actually surprised to see good suggestions. Anyway, after I made the post, I talked to my therapist. She helped me put things into perspective and made me really think on what and how I value my relationship with my wife. She made me realize that I really needed to have this conversation with my wife, but not about the cheating itself, but about how she hid it from me. Last night, I decided to speak with my wife. I waited until we were both chillin' and called her to our bedroom, saying I needed to talk to her. She tensed up and went with me, asked me what was wrong. We both sat on our bed, and I had to hold myself together not to break down in front of her. I said I heard when she spoke to her sister about the time she cheated when we started our relationship. Yes, when we started being exclusive. I said I was hurt, a lot, but even more due to the fact that she hid it from me. I asked her why she did it and why she never told me anything. She broke down crying in front of me. She said it was true. It happened right after we became exclusive. She said that us being friends at the time and even having a friends with benefits phase made her fall in love with me pretty fast. At the time, she had some friends that kept encouraging her to stay away from me because she was getting too attached and too fast, and she needed to wait and have more fun before going all into another relationship. When I asked her to be my girlfriend, she said she really wanted to be with me. So she said yes. But her being a naive idiot at the time, her words, not mine, she let herself get influenced by those friends. And in one of those nights out, she got drunk and ended up making out with the guy that worked with her in the lab. She said it was just a makeout and nothing sexual happened. And she swore she exaggerated the story to her sister, but they did not have sex. She said she regretted it immediately and left the party to go home and cried all night. I said it was irrelevant if they had sex or not. It was the fact that she kept this hidden from me that hurts the most. She cried again and said it was wrong of her. It was a stupid mistake. She just wanted to pretend it never happened. She said she was afraid I was going to leave her for something so stupid and did not have the courage to tell me. She swore she loved me and never felt anything for anyone else after we got together. And then she begged for me to forgive her. Again, saying it was a stupid mistake of a young and naive girl who has gotten out of a bad relationship and let herself be influenced by bad friends. I felt that she was honest, and I mean it. I believe every word of her, and I feel she was genuinely regretting what has happened. I said I forgive her, but I wouldn't be able to celebrate the date of our start again. So we decided to pick another date. We now celebrate our marriage anniversary and the date that we moved in together. She deflated like a balloon after we spoke. She said it was tormenting her to keep this secret, and I'm not going to lie and say the situation did not leave a mark on our relationship. It did. Things definitely shifted, but not in a we need to end kind of way. But talking to her really did me good, and I love her more than anything in my life. Even though it hurt me, I'm now certain we will both be able to navigate this together. Edit. People are getting crazy over my bad English again. Apparently, hookup means having sex. And I didn't know that. I meant make out. Not everyone on Reddit is from the USA. No, honestly, I think everyone has different terms for like hookup even in the US. I would say hookup is anything past making out. If you just made out with someone, I would say I made out with this person, not I hooked up with this person. But if I did anything past make out, like fingering, oral, like anything like that, I would say I hooked up with this person. And honestly, if I slept with someone, I would just say I slept with that person. I probably wouldn't say I hooked up with them. But I think it's different in every place. Like, you can pretty much find people everywhere that say something different. So, relevant comments. Is she still friends with those people who encouraged her? Yes, it happened a long time ago, but she was able to be influenced by her friends and then kept it a secret. That says something about her character that you didn't know about as her husband. I think you can take some time to think about the situation. Also, did she change the definition of hookup to make herself look better? Because that's not what a hookup means. OOP said, no, the conversation did not take place in English, and apparently I didn't know what hookup meant. Oh. Well, when you're getting out of a relationship, that's a pretty common thing to happen with friends. I would do the same thing. I'd be like, no, you should try to heal and not get into a relationship so quickly after ending a relationship. That is the advice that I would give any friend. Even if that doesn't that doesn't mean you have to go hook up with other people at all. If that's something you want to do and that's something that you've like kind of wished that you could do, then I would say, yeah, you should give yourself some time to experience other people if hooking up with other people is something that you want to do before getting in another relationship. But in general, I would always recommend healing after a breakup rather than getting into a relationship. So I get where her friends were coming from, trying to make her see that she needs to try to. I think that's just like a friend thing to do. And obviously at the end of the day, it's her decision of what she wants to do. And it should really only go so far as like them suggesting that she should take time to heal and that they want the best for her and they want her to heal before getting into a relationship. But other than that, I definitely don't think that they should have been encouraging her to like hook up with someone that's not good. You are not good friends if you do that. I would never ever encourage one of my friends to hook up and cheat on someone. That's just a little crazy. Someone said, I feel like people are being willfully obtuse about language and context. We are dating obviously means exclusive since both OOP and wife are treating it that way. If it were before they were exclusive, then wife wouldn't have kept it a secret and only brought it up in a context of talking about cheating. I agree with that. I think people are being a little bit naggy and annoying. But are we surprised? People can be so naggy and annoying. It gets kind of annoying. I feel like too, sometimes, especially, this is just so random because it's kind of the same though when you're posting on Reddit and you get comments that like are annoying. It kind of changes you and changes the way that you will talk about things. I don't know. But whenever I get comments on my podcast about, oh my God, like I thought this video was about cheating, and then all of a sudden you're talking about yourself and talking about a story that you went through, like you're going off the rails and all this stuff. Then it makes me the next time I film after that, like for example, this morning I read a comment like that and I blocked them, but it was on Spotify. And it was like saying, I thought this was about cheating and I clicked on this. It's my first time listening. And then all of a sudden you're talking about you're at Mar-a-Lago and the 70-year-old that you met named Dave. Like, this is so off the rails and I'll pass. And it's crazy that you felt the need to comment that, to be honest. Like, why don't you just exit out and never, ever go back to my podcast again. Like, click not interested or something, to be honest. But of course, people are just so fucking rude that they have to make it known that they're fucking rude and annoying, terrible people. And then after I read that, that makes me like, after when I'm filming, that makes me never want to talk. Like, I keep finding myself not saying things that I want to say, or not talking about things that I want to talk about, or even, you know what I mean? Like, it makes me change my behavior after that, because I read that comment and I'm like, okay, well, fuck. Maybe I should just never talk about myself again. But at the end of the day, I obviously always say this, and I know you guys always say, like, don't pay attention to the hate comments, but it's hard sometimes when you get, like, I don't get a lot of hate comments, but sometimes when it's, like, a few within, like, the past week, they start to get to me, and I'm like, okay, well, so I should just read the stories and never talk about myself ever again, never, like, incorporate my experiences in life, and then also all of this other stuff. I don't know, just like all the comments, I'll be like, okay, that's like in my brain. But like at the end of the day, I'm like, no, this is my podcast. I can talk about whatever I want, whenever I want. And if you want to exit out, you have free will. Like, I don't want you here if you don't want to hear about my experiences, or if you don't want to hear about me talking about myself. I am a person. I'm going to talk about myself. Like, that is just at the end of the day, like, I am going to talk about my experiences and things that go on in my life. I don't think that's wrong. It's my name is on this podcast. My name, Jamie Nelson. Storytime Society by Jamie Nelson. I'm the host of this podcast. So if you're not expecting to hear me talk about my life, go listen to like an AI Reddit or something, or even anyone else. You can listen to anyone else. Just please don't leave a comment, because you're annoying. You're going to get blocked. Because at the end, like, of course, anyone's going to be bothered by stuff. We're human. I'm not a robot. I'm not just going to be like, oh, it's fine, I'll just ignore that. And that's why I think it's just so important to have a block button. But whatever. That was just a rant.
Storytime Society is now available on all listening platforms. If you are on any of those listening platforms, I would really appreciate it if you rated me 5 stars. Thanks for all the support.
I feel like at least once a week I end up going on that type of rant. And I'm so sorry if you guys get annoyed by it. But I feel like you guys are my friends, and this is like stuff that I would say to my friends, and that I would like literally, I'll send screenshots of comments to my friends and be like, this is so annoying, like, why would they comment this or something, and like I would vent to them about it. So sometimes when I'm filming, obviously you guys, like, I feel like you guys are my friends, so I vent to you guys about these things, you know what I mean? But obviously not all of you are my friends, because some of you guys are hate watching. Anyways, we're gonna move on to the next story. The title is she cheating, or am I going insane? A few months ago, I installed a security camera outside of our front door primarily for safety, prompted by a shooting in our neighborhood. It wasn't installed out of suspicion towards my wife. About a week ago, my wife came home from work and casually mentioned taking public transit, which is a common mode of transportation for her, along with occasional Uber rides if she works very late. I didn't think anything of it at the time. The next day, while reviewing the camera footage, I was looking to see if a package was dropped off. I saw the video of her arrival from the previous night. The camera captures our front door and part of the street. It showed her walking up to the door, pausing to look across the street, smiling and waving as a car pulled away, and then entering the house. It strongly suggested that she had been dropped off. I casually asked her if she had taken an Uber home the night before. She initially insisted she had taken transit. When I mentioned the camera footage, she shifted, suggesting maybe it was an Uber and she had forgotten. Sensing something was off, I jokingly asked if she typically waved goodbye to Uber drivers from our doorstep as they waited for her to get inside. This led to further hesitation before she finally admitted it was a coworker. The coworker is a man she has previously mentioned in passing when talking about work or a project she's involved in, who had dropped her off after they both worked late. Naturally, I felt really off. Her story went from transit to maybe an Uber I forgot to actually it was a coworker. I asked if that was the first time he dropped her off, and she said yes. I pointed out how unusual it seemed to forget being dropped off for the very first time by a coworker, especially when it wasn't her usual routine. This is when she became defensive, accusing me of calling her a liar and claiming it was just an honest mistake due to being tired. While I was trying to accept this, I couldn't shake the feeling that her reaction and multiple explanations were illogical. Unable to let it go, I reviewed the camera footage from the week prior. What I discovered was she had been dropped off by the same car multiple times that week alone. Expanding my search to the past months of recordings, as they reset monthly, I found this scenario repeated 2 to 3 times a week. I also discovered instances where the same car picked her up in the morning, specifically on days when I had left for work early. I confronted her again, stating that the footage showed frequent occurrences of her being dropped off by the same car. She looked like a deer in headlights when I said that. She downplayed it again, saying it was just her coworker and I was making a big deal out of nothing. I explained that the hiding and lying about it were very concerning, not necessarily the act of being dropped off, but why the secrecy if it was innocent. She became defensive again, attempting to turn it back on me by suggesting me checking the footage was obsessive and me being paranoid. After an hour-long argument, she finally agreed that, yeah, it was weird, I guess, that she hadn't mentioned it. I asked her directly if there was anything romantic or inappropriate going on with this coworker. She denied it, calling me crazy. We have had an open phone policy, though I've never felt the need to use it until this point. I asked to see her phone and she handed it over. I looked through messages and found nothing that seemed suspicious or indicative of an affair with this coworker. Despite this, I still have trouble believing her. Her initial lies, the shiftiness, the attempt to blame me for being suspicious, and the eventual half admission have eroded my trust. I also noticed that since the day I found out about the coworker dropping her off, the coworker has completely stopped dropping her off or picking her up based on the camera footage. To me, this looks like she warned him or tipped him off on my suspicions, maybe even meeting further away from the house where the camera can't see. I can't let this go. But I'm also confused because outside of this specific issue and her weird behavior when confronted, I haven't noticed the typical signs associated with infidelity. She isn't secretive with her phone, she hasn't become distant, and her general behavior hasn't changed in ways that would make me question her fidelity. We are both incredibly busy with demanding jobs and a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old who keep us on our toes, which naturally limits our time together as a couple. But there hasn't been a shift in our dynamic that raised red flags before this. I feel like I'm going insane, and I'm really struggling to find a logical explanation for this behavior that doesn't lead the conclusion that she's cheating on me. I can't discuss this with friends without feeling like I'm making her look bad. I'm turning to anonymous help, hoping for some perspective on whether my reaction is warranted or if I'm letting paranoia take over. Ooh, that doesn't look good. No, I would immediately think that she was cheating. And then immediately after she realized that, oh, maybe he's going to start being suspicious because I just told him that a coworker dropped me off, I think she went and probably deleted a bunch of messages. Or maybe they don't text. I don't know. Did you find text messages of them asking like, hey, can you pick me up at this time? Hey, can you drop me off? Or do they just never text? I don't know. That is not good, though. That does not look good. Unless, of course, like the only way that I could see this being her, the only possible way is that this guy, OP, who's writing this story, is extremely controlling and jealous, and she would be scared to tell him about like a friendship with a guy at work or something. That's the only way I could see it being her not cheating. Because if he is, and he would be like freak out and you like, she's genuinely like scared of him, I could understand why she would be hiding that from him. But that's not looking good for OP. 13 hours after, this is the update, and it says my suspicions have been confirmed. This morning, she had a later start to her day. This is not unusual, so I left for work before her. But after dropping the kids off at childcare, instead of driving to work, I came back home and parked farther up the street to avoid being seen. When she eventually left the house, she walked up the street and turned onto the main road where she usually catches public transit. I followed at a distance and saw her getting into his car that was parked there. Up until then, I had held on to hope that she may have felt uncomfortable about these pickups and drop-offs after our conversation and that she might have found a way to politely end them. But now, seeing her deliberately walk around the corner to meet his car out of view of our camera has confirmed that at the very least, my wife is actively collaborating with another man to conceal their interactions from me, her husband. A faithful partner would never need to do something like this. I am heartbroken and shaking with rage, but I won't say anything to her. I'm going to hire a PI and find out the full extent of their relationship and then proceed from there. Thank you to everyone who offered their advice. Hiring a PI is honestly that is crazy, but at the same time, like if I could afford that and I was suspecting this, I would do the same thing. So I don't blame him. Last update, affair confirmed after 17 hours from the original post. That's so quick. I wanted to share that I have confirmed the affair. I waited outside her office building and saw her leave around 12:30 p.m. with him. They went across the street to get food, then drove to a nearby park and stayed in his car. They ate lunch and chatted, laughed, and made out. Not just kissed. They sat in the car and made out like effing teenagers. I took a video. Then they left and went back to work. I don't know how I stopped myself from approaching them and attacking him then and there. The thought of doing something rash and losing my children is probably what stopped me. I'm now home and struggling to process what I saw. I feel completely devastated and a profound sense of loss for our family, our children's sense of security, and my own self-worth. I've never felt so completely hopeless in my life before. I'll keep it together and move forward for the sake of my children because they are innocent in all of this. I'm currently contacting divorce attorneys and scheduling initial consultations. I do not plan to confront my wife about what I saw until I'm advised by an attorney. I'll keep my distance until then. The volume of responses and attention my posts have received is incredibly overwhelming. While I am grateful for the support, reading comments and different opinions while processing the betrayal is just too much right now. I'll delete my account, but I'll leave my posts up so I can review the advice later when I'm in a calmer headspace. At this moment, I'm unable to make significant decisions and will rely on legal advice from an attorney to guide me through the next steps. Thank you to everyone who offered support and advice. Damn, you didn't even need to hire a PI. You are the PI. That's so sad, though. I feel so bad for him. Thank God he decided to do that and, like, follow them. I can't imagine that, how fucking terrible that would feel. Seeing your significant other making out with someone else would be devastating, to say the least. The top comment says, a person responding to him saying, I do not plan to confront my wife about what I saw until I am advised by an attorney. And they said, this is the first time I can remember seeing this in writing. And then someone responded, an actual smart person caught in an infidelity situation? Finally. Undying Sonars commented, I don't think it's about being smart, but rather disciplined. I have never been in such an emotionally compromised position, but I assume it would be an overwhelming, and I give him kudos. Absolutely. I would probably have gone up and been like, pop, 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 like knocking on the door. Hello? What's going on here? Hello? Like, what? I would be freaking out. I would be actually going crazy if that were me. My blood would be boiling. No, I would either do that. I would either go, like, I don't know. I could go either way, fight or flight. I would either go and literally fight them and punch them both in the face. Sorry. I know that's not right, but I don't know. I'd probably be so crazy. Or I would be so crazy, my blood would be boiling, my heart would drop, I'd be bawling my eyes out, that I would just like run away. And I would just be like, I'm going to go stay at a hotel and make them fucking worry where I am. And I'll just like talk to my friends and call my mom or something. I don't know. It could go either way. I don't know. I've never been in that type of situation to really know. The title of the next story is, I, 27 male, just found out my girlfriend, 24 female, is lying about being on a trip. Is there any hope, or am I cooked? My girlfriend, Amy, and I went on our first date around 1.5 years ago. We took things slowly while being exclusive and have been officially dating for a year. Overall, the relationship has been pretty good, minus some small hiccups in communication that she chalks up to her neurodivergence. Amy isn't great with texting, which I thought was a red flag at first until I found out she's like that with almost everyone, most of her friends and family included. To give a little background, Amy and a few of her girlfriends go to this conference a few states over twice per year. It's a 2-day event, which they usually turn into a 5-day vacation because it requires a flight and a hotel, and it's in a nice city. Amy's friend group is typically very active on social media during these trips, posting on their Instagram story during all points: flights, conference, beach, etc. This weekend was supposed to be their third time attending. Amy and her friends have had their flights and hotels booked for months, confirmed by some of their posts on social media being excited about having everything booked. Unfortunately, the conference was canceled, but they already booked everything, so they decided to still enjoy a vacation. My girlfriend and I had a date night last weekend. She was telling me how excited she was for her trip. All was good, but at the end of the date, I caught a glimpse of Amy's phone. She was on her airline app, and it looked like she was reading cancellation policies. We had had a long day, and I was tired and felt like I was snooping or being nosy, so I didn't say anything. During the week, I asked Amy to hang out the day before the flight, emphasizing that I wanted to see her before her trip. Unfortunately, she was meeting up with a group of her coworkers, so she couldn't. No worries. The morning of her flight, I texted her wishing her a safe flight and a happy trip, and she liked my message. We haven't talked since. As I said, she's not a big texter, so we usually don't text much besides planning dates and emergencies. I figured she was on her trip, so I haven't texted to plan a date. Now on to the meat of the issue. Amy is now supposed to be a few days into her trip, and I noticed none of her friends were posting on Instagram. I thought that was weird because they usually post a lot, but I shrugged it off. That was until tonight. Amy started posting videos of her at a show. It looked fun and I didn't think twice about it. Until the ending where the show host called out, "Thank you," and then the name of the major city nearby where we live, approximately a 30-minute drive. I looked up the name of the show and of course, it was in that nearby city this weekend. Meaning she wasn't on vacation after all, and never thought to say anything to me about it. I did a little snooping on Venmo and found out that over 2 weeks ago, Amy's friends paid her back the money that Amy had sent her for the hotel and car rental. So she's known the trip was canceled for 2 weeks and hasn't said anything to me every time I brought it up. Where do I go from here? I feel like I'm suddenly spiraling, going crazy, overthinking everything lately to see if I've missed any signs. I've already started assuming the worst and I'm panicking. I'm out of town for the weekend and I feel like this has totally thrown off my trip. Is this worth the conversation or is the relationship already over? Is there any reason she would have not said something by now? Even if she tells me the trip was canceled right when I see her before I confront her, would that still justify not telling me until after the trip? Please, any advice is greatly appreciated. Thank you. Edit. Her best friend just uploaded a picture of them together during the show, so I know she wasn't there with some other guy. But that doesn't explain the lying. Definitely not okay to lie about that. Does she maybe want to break up with you? I feel like maybe she doesn't really like you and she wants to break up with you or something. I do think that like texting isn't that big of a deal. If you're an adult and it's like a lot of people don't like texting. I personally prefer texting and get anxiety when people call me. I don't know why. I don't know what it is. I get immediate anxiety, but I always feel like I have to answer it because I feel like if I don't answer it, then like something's wrong. And that was like their last dying chance of calling me. Not kidding. Every time. You could call me every day and I still would think, oh, they're literally in an emergency, dying, and I'm their last call for help. And I like have to go give them CPR or something. That's literally my brain. So yeah, I would much rather a text because I don't really feel like thinking all of that every single day. My life flashes before my eyes, but my boyfriend is not a texter. He's like so dry. He hates texting, but he's a big caller. So he calls me all the time, even if he just has something like short to say. And I'm like, what was the point of that? You couldn't have texted me that? That couldn't have been an email. Definitely doesn't give any excuse to lie about going on a trip. That's a huge red flag. Not good. Update 2.5 weeks later. Hey everyone, I had some DMs asking for an update, so here it is. To quickly summarize my last post, a few weeks back, my girlfriend was supposed to go on a trip a few states away to go to a conference. We're not going to read that. So here we are, almost a month later. I was a wreck and spiraling these past few weeks, and after being together for almost 2 years, I was too panicked to reach out and ask to see her. During the 3 weeks since her planned trip, she hasn't reached out once to me. That was until yesterday, when she casually reached out like we hadn't just ignored each other for 3 weeks and asked to see a movie. So I just finally saw her tonight. In the car, I asked her about her trip. Her facial response was really weird, like she got caught off guard. I'm guessing she was expecting me to forget about it after weeks of not seeing her. She just said, it was okay, which instantly confirmed my suspicions. I asked her what she had done, and she said she went to that conference one day, which, as I said in my last post, was canceled, and went to a show before returning home the day after I made my original post. I asked her which, and she claimed the show that was in our local city. I was driving at the time, and it was dark out, so I waited to confront her as I didn't want to get emotional and endanger us. I confronted her for lying about the trip, doubling down and lying about the conference, and tripling down to lie about the show. Her immediate response was to start deflecting, saying that if this was making me upset, to imagine how she felt that her conference and trip was canceled. She said how she was so heartbroken and upset that the conference was canceled, which was canceled 5 weeks ago, that she didn't want to talk about it. She kept saying that she doesn't owe it to me or anybody else to tell us about her business and what's going on in her life. I, of course, called her out for gaslighting me, to which her response was she was not gaslighting me. Kind of ironic, I guess. When I talked about how it made me feel and that she damaged my trust for her, she again tried to belittle my feelings by rolling her eyes and saying that it was only a show. This conversation ended up opening to a much bigger issue in our relationship that I didn't mention in my last post. Generally, Amy treated me really poorly throughout the relationship. She was hot and cold, put zero effort into communication, and it never felt like she made a priority. She'd given me zero affection or compliments despite drooling and crushing over male celebrities all day. She's made little effort to connect me and her family and friends. We've talked about all of this for a few times now. She would always say she was overwhelmed with some new excuse and promise it would get better. I would cave in and agree to work through things. As expected, things never got better. This time was the same, where she blamed a new job for being overwhelmed and that's why she's been so distant. But this time was different. I guess her blatant lie to my face and your guys' comments in the back of my mind gave me power to put my foot down. I broke up with her then and there. She kept begging me for one more chance, to think about it for a few days, that she cares about me and she didn't intend to hurt me. All of that nonsense. But the whole time I was the one bawling and there wasn't a tear on her face. It really broke my heart ending things, but I've also really grown to hate myself for putting up with her treatment for so long. I'm hurting a lot right now, and I'm scared to get back into the dating world after 2 years of aging and some weight gain. I really loved her with every bit of my heart, and I'm terrified to picture my life without her. I really want to call her up and give her one final chance to get things right, but I know I'd never forgive myself if she didn't change and broke my heart again. I'm hurting bad, and I could really use some words of encouragement right now. Thank you all. Sounds like you don't even know this girl. It sounds like you guys just started dating 2 days ago. What in the hell? You guys didn't talk for 3 weeks and then all of a sudden you're just like, okay, yeah, I'll go to a movie with her. I would be like, girl, what the hell? You didn't talk to me for 3 weeks. I assume that we're not together anymore. Like, what the hell is actually happening? I mean, I think, and this isn't anyone's fault for being in a bad relationship where someone doesn't treat them well, because I understand. I get it. So it's hard to end relationships sometimes, and it's like it sucks, but you can look at this and I can look at this from an outside perspective and be like, why are you with this girl? If all of these things she's doing wrong in the relationship, she's treating you so terribly, why would you be with her? But at the end of the day, I'm not the one in the relationship, and I probably would be the same. Like, I'd be like, oh, but maybe the little breadcrumbs of like anything good, those moments are like a hit of dopamine, and then it's like, oh my god, well actually maybe this relationship is good, but then it's like, no, it's really not. So I get it, it's hard. There's a long ass comment, and it's about OOP on having better communication with his ex prior to her trip. Sorry if it was a bit unclear. I've gotten a few comments with mistakes about the timeline of things, so I'll clear it up in this comment, since it's one of the newer ones. Sorry if I ramble a little here, the wounds are still very fresh. The trip was only supposed to be 4 days. She never ended up going though, of course, hence what I first confronted her about. She was in our hometown the entire time, presumably sleeping at her own house. She lives with her family, unless she was cheating on me. While I did ask her what she was actually doing during what should have been her trip and during those 3 weeks of no contact, I didn't have the heart to ask if she was cheating, and also knew she would deny even if she was. Maybe I'm naive, but I genuinely don't think that she was cheating on me. While she treated me like trash and didn't seem like she cared much about me, she never struck me as somebody capable of cheating and has been cheated on before. She's also not a very physically open person and struggles to be intimate with anybody she's not dating. Her reason for lying about the trip was that she was feeling really sad that she didn't get to go and didn't want to talk about it. To me, that's such a BS excuse. She could have just told me that she didn't go but is hurting and doesn't want to talk about it. I don't think I'll ever know why she didn't tell me the truth, but that's something I'll just have to live with. In a way, I'm glad that she lied to me. It helped me snap out of things and break up with her. If she told me the truth about the trip off the bat, I was prepared to talk to her about the 3 weeks of silence and her emotional neglect and try to repair our relationship again, for the probably 8th or 9th time. So I guess it was a good thing that she lied to me. Her reason for not contacting me during those weeks was that she was overwhelmed with her first real job, that she started approximately 1.5 months before those 3 weeks of silence. She did send me a handful, maybe 10 TikToks during that time through TikTok, not text. But I would consider that more breadcrumbing than actual reaching out. Early in our relationship, she would spam me with dozens of TikToks when she was thinking about me, so sending one every few days during the silence felt like a sad attempt to keep me around. Admittedly, this isn't the first time she's gone a few weeks without contacting me. There have been other times where I felt like this relationship was one-sided, so I stopped reaching out to see if she would contact me. In most of these cases, she wouldn't contact me for a few weeks, but there's always some big excuse. Her grandma was sick and in the hospital. She was doing interviews for a new job, final exams, etc. I will admit that I know she shuts down under stress and tends to isolate a lot, but I've talked with her about this a few times before, and every time she told me that she promised she'd work on it. She also had no issues seeing her friends many times while being overwhelmed and isolated. I'm not sure that me not asking her if she's cheated boils down to bad communication from me, but everybody is allowed to their own opinion, I guess. I will admit that not contacting her myself for those 3 weeks isn't exactly great communication, but after 2 years of doing what I felt was the absolute most for communication and her not reciprocating, I guess I was feeling a bit burnt out. I didn't explicitly ask her if she was cheating, but I did imply it by asking what she was doing during that weekend that she felt she needed to hide. That's when she deflected, telling me how she spent that time sad about the trip, despite going to that show. I did ask her what she was doing those 3 weeks, and of course she said she was working her normal 9 to 5, and she works a part-time job in the evenings, twice a week. She gave me a few examples of other things she did, times where she met up with friends. She spent a weekend at her best friend's house an hour south, which I can confirm that she did from social media, a doctor's appointment, etc. She didn't give me a full agenda of what she was doing, nor did I expect her to, as I'm not her babysitter, but she probably named 4 to 5 different times she hung out with friends, plus her job 2 evenings per week and the doctor's appointment. Like I said in my update post, she's made almost no effort to connect me with her friends and family. I've only met her family in passing and brief convos. Don't have their contact info, and none of them are on social media, minus her little brother, who I barely know and do not follow. I wasn't about to make a fool out of myself and look like the crazy, insecure boyfriend by contacting her little brother and seeing what she's doing and why she's not reaching out to me. At this point, what she was exactly doing during that time doesn't matter to me as much as her non-interest in seeing or talking to me. Something I didn't mention is that my parents live in the southeast of the US and got blasted by the back-to-back hurricanes, their lives being at serious risk for one of them, up to 12 feet storm surges, and she didn't even check up on me or them during either of them. She waited until yesterday night by saying something casual like, "Oh, by the way, how are your parents? They were in the state for the hurricanes, right?" Her not even caring to reach out when it was happening hurt a lot and showed me how little she cares about me and my family. I had a lot of friends and family reaching out to me to check on my parents when I had lost touch with them for the day, but the one person I really wanted to lean on for support didn't show any care. Completely agreed that the worst part was her lying to me about it and doubling down. If she was honest off the bat about the conference being canceled when I saw her yesterday, I was foolish enough to be willing to try to work through the communication issues again. Her lying about it again lit a fire under me that this wasn't worth repairing and to get out. I wish that made it easier and less painful, but that's life, I guess. Yikes. That girl sounds like a nightmare to be in a relationship with. I would rather not. That's actually awful to deal with. I can't even imagine. Like, she sounds like she literally couldn't care less, and I would never suggest staying in a relationship with a person like this. And also, I just can't imagine going 3 weeks without talking to the person that you've been dating for 2 years. I would be reaching out and being like, "Hello, what the fuck is wrong with you?" Like, after like 2 days of no contact, absolutely no contact, I would reach out. I'm dating you for 2 years. I'd be like, are you alive? Dead? Like, hello? Okay, this is the last update. 1 week later from update 1. Hi all, just gonna make an update because I've seen this post reach a few subreddits and TikTok accounts, including my favorite TikTok Reddit stories account, LOL. I've replied to a decent bit of comments, providing some more context and clarifications, such as timelines of things, why I stayed for so long, why I accepted her neurodivergence as an excuse, etc. I'm sorry I can't get to all the comments, there's so many. I've just come for a brief update and clarification. I'll try to keep it short, but I do tend to ramble a little. Like you all suggested, I've removed Amy on social media. I did it really late one night when I couldn't sleep, a few hours after she normally sleeps. I woke up about 5 hours later for work, around the time when she wakes up, and decided I should block her so I don't ever get tempted to look at her profiles or give her a chance to contact me. She already beat me to the punch and blocked me first thing in the morning. I'm not sure how to block her when I'm blocked, but I guess this gets the job done. I wanted to address one comment. A lot of people are asking why I originally said our relationship was pretty good and waited to drop the bombshell of everything until my update. Honestly, I just wanted unbiased opinions on the original situation. Like, if there was any reason why somebody in a healthy relationship would have not told me about the trip cancellation. I was naive and was hoping that there would be some reasoning that I wasn't seeing and that we could work through the issue. I knew that Amy had been treating me poorly outside of this issue, but it felt like her treatment of me was kind of on the upswing and that we were growing closer, until she stonewalled me for 3 weeks after my first post. Before my first post, I felt like one final talk with her would really keep us on the right path and hopefully fix things for good. Obviously, I was naive and stupid for thinking that and let my love for her blind me to the obvious, but hindsight is 2020. It's hard to recognize that emotionally abusive relationships aren't going to change when you're in them. Reflecting back, there was always times when she would briefly treat me well to pull me back in. I'd guess that's what was going on recently, but who knows? And to the people suggesting that we weren't actually in a relationship, that we had different agreements of what the relationship meant and that I belong in a psych ward, thanks. Appreciate that. But no, when we were still seeing each other, as in after a few dates, I specifically asked her to be exclusive, and she said yes. Once I felt ready, I sat her down, told her how much I cared about her, and asked her to be my girlfriend. She agreed, and we've been boyfriend and girlfriend ever since. We've posted each other on Valentine's Day and both had pictures of each other on social media. When talking to others, she introduced me to them as her boyfriend. We've been on weekend trips away together with my friends. Early on, we had conversations about what we want in terms of kids, marriage, where to live, etc., to make sure that we were on the same page. While I might have been naive and had heavy rose-tinted glasses, I'm not some psycho stalker. She knew we were in a relationship, treated me like crap, acknowledged that my feelings were valid all the times that I brought up her treatment of me, and when I broke up with her, she begged me to take a few days and reconsider. This wasn't some fantasy you'd see in a creepy movie. To end off my update, I'm doing okay. I was really sad the first 2 days, but that's past. I'm still in pain, grieving, and thinking about her, but there is some relief from all the comments reinforcing that I made the right choice. Things are hard right now, but I know I've made the best choice for me and my well-being. Thanks all again, and hopefully this is the end of my time here. Not the comments saying that he's a psycho weirdo who isn't actually dating this girl. Okay, way to gaslight a literal person who is in an emotionally abusive relationship. Hello? The top comment says, if your partner doesn't contact you whatsoever for 3 weeks in a relationship that is not even 2 years old, then it's probably over. Yeah, but he still owed an explanation or any contact from that person who has been in a relationship for almost 2 years. I get that it's over, but it can be hard when you're in a relationship and you're being like pushed and pulled and pushed and pulled. I can attest. I was in a relationship like this for 4 years where it was an awful until we broke up, and then he would give me everything I wanted, so I would take him back and I would take him back, and then it was just a cycle that repeated itself hundreds of times. And that's why I feel like I can kind of resonate with this, because you look at it and you're like, all of these things are wrong with this relationship. Why the hell wouldn't you break up with this person? But when you're in that relationship, unless you're I don't know what, unless I think anyone could be a victim of this type of relationship, honestly. But yeah, until you're in it, you don't realize how hard it is to get out, because you just want to keep giving chances after chances after chances, and it's terrible. But once you get out, it's such a good feeling once the initial shock of it is over and you finally realize, like, whoa, you come out of this like different world that you were in and you're like, oh my, holy shit, why did I ever accept that type of behavior? I always think about that. I'm like, damn, how did I accept that type of behavior for 4 years? But yeah, that's the last story. That was a long one, but I got so many episodes. Today I'm doing a batch filming day. I don't know why I'm telling you this, but you guys are my friends, so I'm telling you. And if you're not my friend, then exit out. But yeah, I'm doing a batch filming day. So I'm filming all episodes for the week just on this one day, so that I can have like a week break where I'm not filming. And I feel like that will kind of help me, because lately I haven't been feeling like burnt out or anything, but for some reason I'm like forcing myself to do stuff at all times. If I'm not doing stuff, I'm like, I'm not being productive. I need to go do something. And I get really stressed. In the past couple days, like, we've been kind of just lounging over the weekend, and we've just like been absolutely doing nothing, sitting on the couch, like watching shows or watching like whatever. And I don't know why, but I've had like heart palpitations for the past like 3 days, because if I'm not being productive with something, I feel like I'm failing, and I'm like, I need to do something, like I have to be productive, I have to do, and I don't know, I think that's just like an innate thing that's inside of me, and it's always been like that, especially when I'm like passionate about what I'm doing and I really want to succeed in what I'm doing. I always take it too far, and then I burn myself out, which is not something that I want to do. So hopefully filming everything today and just like scheduling it out throughout the week and being kind of, giving myself time to recuperate until next week and film, hopefully that helps. So yeah, anyways, I love you guys, and I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode. Let me know your thoughts. Please leave a comment. I want to know your thoughts, guys. If you haven't already, on whatever platform you're on, please subscribe or follow or like the video. And yeah, if you're on Spotify, leave me a 5-star review, please. I love you, because that really helps push out and I've been doing really well on Spotify. I'm really proud of myself, guys. Thank you so much. I'm proud of myself, and I'm so happy that you guys are all enjoying this on Spotify as well. Obviously, anywhere you're enjoying it, I'm literally so thankful for you and so grateful for you, and I could not thank you enough. I wish I could give you all big hugs. Seriously. Bye. Love you. My merch is out. Yeah, but this is it. And this comes in pink, black, and white. If you want to get a little cute piece of merch, go grab one.
Link is in the description to purchase.
Love you guys. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.